It's amazing to me how little time it takes to improve my state of being. My thoughts, my sensations, my self-identity, this abstract sense that is the sum of everything that I'm looking at, everything that I'm feeling. In just a very short amount of time, by closing my eyes, by resting my awareness within, I can improve it substantially. It's not done away with. The things that I bring to that presence, things that I've been worrying about, thinking about, distracted by, they're not just thrown out and disregarded completely. When I turn my attention inward, they're put into context. When compared to the relief that comes from just pausing and resting, deciding right now I don't need to do anything. Even the idea of an active meditation where we're doing some process, we're fixing ourselves somehow. That's not even what I'm talking about. I'm talking about just closing the eyes and letting go. Just listening and noticing. Just tuning the focus inward instead of looking outward. It's a looking, listening, feeling, sensing inward. And there's no efforting required. Even in a very short amount of time. In a minute, there's a sense of relief. It's a pattern interrupt from being so focused outward in the world. This efforting and doing, thinking, processing, deciding. It's a break from that. To just being receptive to what is present And that can include those things. Those things that we were doing just before, those thoughts we were thinking. The momentum of them is still going to be present. But within the context of that silence and that pausing and that inner directed focus, they lose their momentum. They lose their immediacy. And that feeling of embodiment. The sensations that our body can give us, such as just noticing the pleasure of breath, the simplicity of the body's awareness. Even when there's pain or discomfort, there can be a lot of relief in just observing it and not avoiding it. I've noticed that if I just become fully present with pain and discomfort in my body, sometimes what will happen is the pain will increase temporarily, but it also transforms my attention. It's something to focus on. And in that focusing, there's a shifting of consciousness. This is what is used in hypnosis. And this is what meditation can be, is this focusing of the mind. I believe that learning to focus our attention, our consciousness, is incredibly useful. In doing so, we're able to do a variety of things. One of them is go into altered states, expanded states of consciousness. Even right now, while I'm doing this, I'm in a slightly altered state of consciousness. I'm focusing on the sensations of my body, relaxing my body, and to some degree using eye fixation. So I'm not focusing on the words or the concept I'm trying to convey, but I'm focusing on my state of consciousness being of a certain quality that is expansive and deeper. It's essentially an eyes open, meditative, trance-like state. This is something that I've been interested in for a while. some people might even call it channeling. And I think this is the natural progression of consciousness, and where humans are readily capable of moving into, where instead of saying, I'm channeling some alien being or I'm channeling some spirit, we're just channeling our higher self. It's still us, but our identity is a little looser, a little more expansive. And we recognize that we're able to shift into various states with different qualities. This is well documented in brain measuring devices of the frequencies that the brain is producing. And there's 4 or 5 clearly documented bandwidths of frequency that the brain produces with different characteristics. A regular waking state is of a beta frequency, and that has certain qualities that can be useful. But we have other states, other frequencies, alpha, theta, delta, and gamma, that have different traits. Quite possibly there are other frequencies that are produced in the brain. Or received by the brain. This is a bit of a gray area of science, medicine, psychology. But I think we need to really explore these areas more, especially on an individual basis. It's very, very beneficial for us to learn more about our own minds and our own consciousness and the capabilities that it has. I feel that this is something just very, very relevant for me. And part of my path, in that in my lived experience it's been incredibly useful. Something that I've utilized, found helpful, and then forgotten about, and then returned to many times, back and forth. That includes my meditation practice. I learned a meditation practice, transcendental meditation, when I was, before I was 20 years old. And there's been periods where I did it very regularly. There's been extended periods where I did it every day. And as I've gotten older, those have become more regular. Although certainly in my 20s, I did practice quite regularly. And in my 30s as well, and my 40s where I am now. There's also been times when that practice fell off. And that falling off was pretty consistent with my life being more difficult and me not having access to inner skills, inner resources, inner wisdom to direct me and guide me I think that was necessary in just learning about the usefulness of it, the discipline, the practice. Having this practice in my life that really becomes this foundation. And I think we can layer practices, we can have multiple practices, and they'll benefit each other. For example, I found that physical exercise really benefits my meditation practice and vice versa. It's difficult, however, when we're in a negative mindset, when we're really caught up in the world's dysfunction and we make it our own, to have that practice, to have that degree of self-care, and sometimes we choose instead self-sabotage. I think that is part of a natural kind of cycle, and there's an explanation for it in a bigger picture approach to all of life's ups and downs. The thing that I think is important is that people just be aware that there are options of things and how they work. So I know a lot of people have an aversion to meditation. Maybe they've tried it and felt like they couldn't do it. Maybe they feel a judgment that they're missing some skill that other people seem to have. But I want to tell people that's not true. Certainly there are some people, such as myself, who have practiced it a lot. I've meditated many, many hours. But I also started out with a very distracted, poor focus, a real difficulty in focusing my mind, and was diagnosed with ADHD and given medication. And I think this is a kind of fundamental wound for me that meditation is helping me overcome, has helped me overcome. Not that it's done, this practice will be part of the rest of my life. I think this is relevant to the whole concept of that our wound becomes our gift. And early in my life, I had this propensity to disassociate. And it's funny because in a way it seems like meditation or trance is disassociation, but it's not. It's an expansion of awareness. There's not a loss of awareness as there is in disassociation. So people that are scattered, fragmented, avoidant, whose minds are like a leaf in the wind, very easily affected by other people's opinions and thoughts. Those are the people that could really benefit from understanding that in each moment there is an opportunity to tap into the resources that are within them. That actually there's an inner guidance that is much more compelling, much more satisfying than anything the world has to offer us. Any of the drama, the opinions, that we have a tendency to internalize and value more than our own thoughts and opinions. Anyone that is puzzled by the message to listen to your gut or listen to your heart, anyone who doesn't know how to do that could really benefit from the practice of meditation. It's a practice in that it improves with doing. And also understanding that even the slightest incremental improvement is an incentive to keep going. If in the practice it was just constantly coming up against a wall and feeling resistance and hating it, then that would be very difficult. But I don't believe that's what will happen if people just do a little bit of practice. I believe even in the first time that somebody just sits for even 3 minutes, if they just find a space where they're not going to be disturbed, close the door, put the phone in another room, close the eyes, tune one's attention inward, feeling their breath, feeling their body, feeling the sensation of gravity. Nothing more than that. There's no doing. There's just listening. There's just observing. There's just witnessing oneself. Even the thoughts that come and go. It's really about the attitude and approach to that. I think there's a feeling that might be described as holding space. Holding space for oneself. How do we do that for somebody else? How do we do that for a child? We're just present. We're not adding anything. We're not dissecting it. We're not fixing anything. We're just present. And I believe if we can be present like that, if we hold that attitude, then there will be improvement in our state. We may notice things that we don't like, even our not liking of those things, our judgments, our thoughts, all of that stuff, it may seem to be louder, but there's a satisfaction in it. There's a satisfaction in listening. There's a satisfaction in holding that space for ourselves, just like if somebody else did it for us. There's a feeling of being heard, of cared for. Can you extend that care to yourself? Can you hold that space for yourself without any agenda of fixing? Can you trust that the fixing just happens by observation? Maybe the fixing isn't a done thing, it's not a complete thing. But it's an improvement. There's even a little bit of relief. There's a softening, there's a letting go, even just a little bit. And in noticing that, there's even more. So there's a momentum that occurs. When we notice, when we observe that sensation of letting go, of relaxing, of slowing down, there's even more of that. So there's this momentum from outward busyness, distraction, efforting, to this inward pull. And the pull is because we realize, we notice how good it feels, even just a little bit. Even just a slight improvement. We find more satisfaction in that than the busyness of the world. Also, there's a refreshment in that, so that when we do come back to the world, when we do return our awareness to the outer world, we bring to it even a small measure of refreshment, of cleaner energy, of more authentic self. We're more lighthearted, we're more creative, more inspired, we're braver. And with regular practice, we develop more resilience. For me, I can get to the point where I've really let go of a lot of the world. And some people might think this is kind of scary. I myself even wonder sometimes if I've let go of too much. But the reason is because I've found such satisfaction inside. And that gives me a context, a reference point, to see how much of what I was efforting and grasping and trying to have be a certain way, have emotional reactions to, just wasn't as important anymore. Within the context of having this peace and satisfaction within, I'm able to see the world in a different light. And it's amazing how quickly this can happen, and how quickly I can forget it too. It also gives me compassion for people who clearly are out of touch with their inner awareness. Their inner awareness that I believe is loving, is peaceful, that I'm deeply aligned with, that the core of my being is in agreement with the core of their being. It's only because they've lost touch with it for who knows what reason. Because it's easy to do. Because the world is compelling and distracting. It's so easy to get caught up in the drama of it. Even though I have developed this great ability and familiarity with this inner awareness that gives me insight about the world, I still can forget sometimes. I can still get caught up in anger, in disgust, in fear. In irritation. Because I don't live in a culture that talks about what I'm talking about right now. I have to believe in it and cultivate it myself. And I got to this place out of desperation, out of life and death decisions, of times of terrible pain and suffering. But this inner awareness, this that has come from this practice, has shown me the bigger picture. how that makes sense, how it all fits together. Of course, not perfectly, because it's not. Breaking it down intellectually, it feeds it to me in a nonlinear, kind of abstract way, but a way that is very compelling, a way that is very believable, a way that I feel in the very fiber of my being, a way that I trust more than anything else. Having that inner solidity, that faith and trust in myself, I think is the most valuable thing that we can have. And that's why I believe that meditation and an ability to alter our own state of consciousness is the greatest skill that we can cultivate. I think it needs to be the foundation of any education. All children should be taught how to meditate, how to be self-aware, how to observe their own minds, how to listen within. This is so incredibly important. This is the way that we'll solve the world's problems, because each individual is empowered then to face the challenges that are in front of them. The solutions do not come from one person or even a handful of people. They come from a distributed response, just like nature does. This is the grassroots, organic way. This is the Aquarian Age way. Not through an artificial grid, not through a technological grid, but through our endogenous, psychic, spiritual interconnectivity. And it's fed to us in the moment by our inner being as we tune into it, as we listen for it, as we're open to it. And as we open to it, we receive incredible abundance in very many forms, feelings of well-being. And when we think about it, everything that we want is because we think we will feel better in having it. Whether it's a car, a house, a partner, food, a certain body, all of these things, we want them because we will think we will feel better in having them. But in truth, we can feel good, well, joyful, love right now, in any moment, unconditionally, because we can focus our minds. We have that ability, we have that capability. Some people have not practiced that. In fact, they've practiced the opposite of submitting to an external authority, of giving their power away to a narrative that does not originate from within them. And there's great confusion. They're lost in a labyrinth and continuing to look outside of themselves for the way back home, the way to everything they want. But the way to everything they want is only known by their inner being, their inner wisdom. And they can only find that when they listen within. Turn off the TV, turn off the other distractions of social media, of what other people are telling you, and take the time to listen within, to hold the space for yourself. And make it a priority. It's the most important thing you can do for yourself. And savor the incremental progress. Savor the subtle adjustment that occurs. That's how it will become a positive addiction. In noticing the subtle improvement each time that you do it. In one practice, it's not going to change your life, but noticing the incremental improvement will encourage you to do it again and again and again. And over time, that incremental improvement will build and a momentum will occur. And great change will happen. I couldn't be more grateful for my practice. And it's not been flawless. There have been many times of falling off, of forgetting. But seeds are planted with every time that I took the time for myself. A seed was planted that brought me back again and again. There's a point at which words lose effectiveness. It's a very simple message. Just do it. Just do nothing. Just listen. Just take the time to listen. Know thyself. It's one of the least complicated things that we can possibly do. It's one of the most joyful things. It reveals everything. But it shows us that even in the darkest times, in the most difficult times, in the most painful times, there is a presence that is ready to hold us, to take care of us, to guide us, to lift us up. And we can receive all of that without doing anything. So just stop. Just take the time to stop. Can you do that? Can you just stop? Stop spinning your wheels. Stop efforting. Stop fixing. Stop intellectualizing. It's tricky because you've practiced doing. Doing. The answer is less. Less is more. It's all been done. Just breathe.